Hi, and welcome to College Planning Untangled, where we help families that are tackling this whole idea of planning for college simplify their lives. I'm Kristin Clark. I'm a career exploration coach for 16 to 26-year-olds, and I'm here with Bobby Hood, our ACT SAT expert. And Bobby has a really good subject for us today. We are going to talk about that new ACT upgrade that they've done, and specifically about the English portion of that test. So, guys, buckle in.
All right. Yeah. So last time we talked about how the new enhanced ACT is shorter. It only takes 2 hours. Uh, and so it's now the same length as the SAT. The science section is now optional. So your composite score is just English, reading, and math averaged together. And one of the things they did is they changed the English test where it's in some ways a little easier, although it doesn't matter if it's easier or not, 'cause your score is based on how everyone else does. But I thought I'd just show you some differences because you and I have talked before about this. So let me just throw the English, some rules. So this is
Yeah,
sort
and
of
Bobby, before you do
yeah.
this, I want, for our families out there, guys, what Bobby does, and you can put it up, but what
Oh yeah.
Bobby does here, and it's so important, is he really talks about just how these tests work. So it's not just about knowing the information, but it's understanding the test. So definitely share this with your kids too. But Bobby, just jump in. This is going to be
Yeah,
good.
absolutely. So basically, this is sort of the way my tutoring works to say, okay, here's 15 rules for ACT English. And this would be a PDF file that a student have. And this is actually something I've done that's a little bit, I think, better now is like uh, you can see all of the rules here, right? They're all just right there, right? And so this is the first page. There are basically 15 rules. If you follow these 15 rules, you can get basically a near perfect score on the English test. And so let's just look through it, right? So the first 6 rules here, it says they are grammar rules, right? So can you see that okay?
I can, yeah. And we've
Yeah,
gone through these before, and
absolutely, right? So
yeah.
these rules look familiar to you. So on the past test, what would happen is these were underlined text questions where you had to just figure out what they were testing. And there were 8 things to look for. But now the test actually asks a question on every question. And so all of these questions now, it will say this question, which choice makes the sentence most grammatically acceptable, which they didn't do before. So you had to figure out what was going on. But now, if they ask this, it's the same rules we saw before, which is if you see a period, semicolon, colon, or dash, you're going to do something called the vertical line test. If it's commas, parentheses, or dashes, you're going to look for unnecessary info that you can cross out. Right. So the first rule is period, semicolon, colon, or dash. So if you see a period or semicolon or colon or dash in the answers, you just follow these rules, right? And so basically, you treat a period and semicolon as if they are identical. They go between 2 complete ideas. So if you have a complete sentence here and another complete sentence here, then you want to use a period or a semicolon to separate them, right?
Okay.
And then a colon or dash if you have a complete idea followed by a list or explanation, then that's when you would want to use a period or semicolon. So here, this is a sentence, but then the part after isn't a sentence, it's just something extra. Does that make sense?
So the question here is which
So now we see the actual question, right? And it says which choice makes the sentence most grammatically acceptable. So
okay.
we would want to test the answers that have a period or semicolon or colon or dash, like right there, right? And you just imagine is if there's a vertical line right here, well, is that a sentence before the bush is distinctive? Okay, yeah, that's a
Yes, it
sentence.
is. Yeah.
And then after the vertical line, it has an unusual incandescence and stands 4 feet tall. That's a sentence.
Yep. So it'd be a period
Therefore,
or a colon.
a period or a semicolon. Yeah, absolutely. So
Semicolon,
the
sorry.
answer is C. And we never even, or a colon would also work, or a dash, right? And so, yeah, since that's the only answer it looks at, that's the answer, and we never look at any other answers.
Yep.
If it wasn't complete on both sides, you'd cross out choice C, and then you would apply the comma rules, which is the next rule. So the next rule is the only thing the ACT tests about commas is that you use commas to separate, to set off extra things from a sentence. So this example here in the middle, all three of those sentences are the same thing. There's something extra in the middle and there's commas around it, or dashes or parentheses. Those are all the same thing. Or something extra at the beginning of a sentence or at the end of a sentence will have commas around it, right? And so here's an example question. You see, again, it asks what makes the thing most grammatically acceptable, right? So the question is there something in this sentence that we could put parentheses around? And so you can see sort of the sentence says, using traditional Brazilian ingredients in innovative ways, he has thrilled diners. But then we've got like an example of what kind of ingredients. And you see this dash there at the hidden in the sentence right there?
Yeah.
That means we have to have a dash somewhere else. But do you want the dash to be here or here, right? Well, you need it to be around the extra stuff, right? So that you could read the sentence with the crossed out. So it's going to be that one. Does that make sense? Isn't that funny? It's just this mechanical thing, right?
Yeah.
And so then the third thing is then you see on the ones we just saw, the words weren't changing, right? They were just putting punctuation marks everywhere. But then if they like are changing apostrophes or pronouns, then there's a rule about apostrophes and pronouns, how to use apostrophes and pronouns. And then you can see this question here. Well, when you see an apostrophe or pronoun, you check and see what the noun is that goes with it, right? So is it its large heart or is it their large heart when we're talking about a tree, right?
Yes. And Bobby, I feel like this is one that people screw up quite a bit.
Oh, absolutely. Right. Absolutely. And so it's not they because it's one tree, but then is it IT apostrophe S? No, that's it is, right? And so it's then, since we're talking about one tree, right? So it's the original, the tree dies once its large heart is removed, right?
Yes.
If it was multiple trees, that's it. Okay, and so then the next thing is like verbs, subject verb agreement, right? So you might say the dog runs, but you say the dogs run, right? And so here you see what's most grammatically acceptable. We see the only thing in the answer is verbs, so that's what they're testing. And so the funny
you're going to have to explain. Oh, I
Yeah.
see. So have enabled these women's. Okay.
Yeah. So the subject here is partnering. So you would say partnering has enabled, not partnering have enabled. Right.
Right.
But the trick is they're trying to get you to think that it's instituta ata or something. But that's still you would say has, but right. But the trick is, since it's all about whether there's an S or not an S on the verb, you can just look and say, oh, one of the answers has an S on it. The others don't have S's. Okay, so that's the one that is different. That one is the singular one, and then the other ones are plural, and so it must be the one that's different. So these are just kind of simple, tricks you can use.
Yeah, so has enabled because it's with partnering. It's almost like you got to cross out the
exactly the extra stuff. Exactly, right. Yeah. And that's it. And then parallelism in lists. So it kind of goes on, right? And so we've seen these before. The next thing is like make sure lists are parallel. Make sure that the sentence is a complete sentence. So like you see here in the answers to a question, one of three of those make run-on sentences, and then one is a little shorter, right? One is not shorter. One makes an actual sentence. But so we've seen all of this before. What's interesting is to move on to the next thing. There were 4 other things they did that were part of the underlying text questions that now have their own questions. So now they ask their own questions. So you remember before that I had this rule that said sometimes you have to pick the shortest answer.
Right.
Right. But now they ask this question. It says, which choice is the least redundant? And now you know to pick the shortest answer because they said pick the least redundant one,
So
right?
you made it more clear what to
Yeah,
really
they
do.
added a question that's telling you you just have to know that redundant means not repeating things, right?
Yeah.
And then they added a question that is which one it maintains the essay's tone. So it used to be, well, if one of them, three of them are weird and one is not, then pick the normal one. Well, now this is, they tell you maintain the tone, right? This is what makes the test way easier, is now instead of just being underlying text questions, you have to figure out what's going on. You pick the normal one, right? So it's not let her hang on to or made it okay for her, right? That sounds a little more casual. That's it. And so that's basically it. All the rest of the strategies are the same as they always were. It's just follow these rules. Each of these questions, it has its own rule. I give the examples. We go through the questions that you.
So Bobby, can people get these rules from the ACT people, or did you develop these rules
So
that
I came up with this list of rules, and this is actually what's so important is like if you go to if you purchase the Princeton Reviews book or any tutor or whatever, every tutor is going to give you some kind of list of rules. But like a lot of them are going to say, okay, commas, here are the 4 or even 6 rules about commas. But as you saw, I have one rule about commas, which is commas are used to exclude extra stuff because the ACT doesn't test the other kinds of commas.
Yeah.
And so you don't need to learn those other rules. They don't test it, but everybody else is teaching all these rules. So yeah, so I came up with this. The reason why I say the 15 rules for English is because any other source you go to is going to have 35 different rules, right? And so anyone who wants, I will happily, just like I have the math, what you need to know PDF file, just contact me on my website. I'll be happy to give you a copy of these rules. It's like 3 pages long. But this is what I do in my tutoring is show students that. And then everything that I was just writing on the screen and everything turns into a PDF file with the questions that you missed, right? So that's your personalized study guide based only on the questions you missed, but categorized by the 15 rules. But once you know that all you have to do is learn these 15 rules, this is why so many students, they can just take their score and jump 10 points or something very quickly.
I know. And Bobby, this is what I love about you, because, I'm all about efficiency, get this done, learn and get out. And I want parents to hear that too. It's like the way you teach to me is so logical. Mm-hmm. And it's just, here's what you're getting wrong. Here's what you don't know. Learn it. You're good.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And
right.
Even that whole idea of let's give you the 15 things you have to know.
Yep.
All these other things, you know what? You're still going to live a good life.
Right. And I'll go through and I'll go through and say, okay, well, here's the rule about apostrophes and pronouns. You got all those questions right on the test. Let's not talk about it. Right. Let's move
Hallelujah to that, brother. Or even, I don't know if you do this, but I think the other really cool thing about that is even seeing what you got right and go, here's why you got it right. You use this logic, right? Is another way for people to go, oh yeah.
Absolutely.
And, I did, put some logic behind it. Did I really know what I was doing? That's another cool thing. But,
absolutely.
But no, I love this because I was not good at these types of tests. I'm not good at it.
Right. And most people naturally aren't very good at it, but it's just because you've never seen it before and you need to know the patterns. That's all it is.
I know. And again, that's why I love you. That's why I love how you teach, because it makes sense to me. And I think too, for kids, it makes sense to them too, because it's just logical.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, that's it. So that's what it's all about. Here's simplifying things, making it realize that it's not as scary as it looks. And that is it. And so, yeah, so we'll continue going through and looking at how the new ACT is different. But anyone who has questions can always contact me on my website.
Yes. And guys, it's BobbyHoodOnlineTutoring.com. Reach out to him, because he said, he will provide you these tools. It is a no-brainer to ask for, so that your kids can take these tests and not have to take them 12 times. You can take them less times and get better scores. And, and if they do need help, reaching out to Bobby to really walk them through this. And that's where the magic happens.
Absolutely. All right. Wonderful. Well, see you next week. Have a great one.
All right. Bye now.